Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the zoning board of adjustment, November 25th, 2025. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company and the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. The zoning board had no meeting in the month of October 2025. What I would like to do first, we have two resolutions that we had in September. And has everyone had a chance to look over the resolution at 48 Cedar Terrace, Portland, New Jersey?
Yes.
What's the pleasure of the board concerning this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the resolution be adopted as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Emma,
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein.
Yes.
Mr. Castlegrant.
Yes.
I have a second resolution of 20 Orchard Street. Has everyone had the opportunity to read that resolution on that September meeting?
Yes.
It's the pleasure of the board concerning that meeting.
Move the resolution be approved as written.
I have an approval and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Emma,
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein.
Yes.
Mr. Castlegrant.
Yes.
Has everyone had the opportunity to read the minutes of the September 24th, 2075 meeting?
Yes.
The pleasure of the board concerning that.
Move the minutes be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the meeting of September 24th, 2025. The next application, oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
We can do all in favor, if everyone was here. Everyone
The other two.
here. Vote on the minute.
Okay. Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Emma.
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein.
Yes.
Mr. Castlegrant.
Yes.
Okay, our first case tonight is 2515 Lestock Properties, Johnson's Lane. Myself, and I'm sure that there's other members of the board who have a conflict of interest, and I am excusing myself from this application, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to the vice chairman, Tom Kaczynski, to take over this meeting at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if anyone else wants to excuse themselves, please bring it up now. Okay.
Yes. So everyone
And
who
Anthony?
needs to recuse themselves should leave the dais and either leave the meeting or head into the audience to watch. Your decision, pursuant to section 69.1 of the municipal land use law, when there is not a full board for the zoning board based on refusals, the zoning board is borrow members of the planning. And so we have 4 members of the planning board here with us tonight who will be helping the board reach its full 7-person membership. So if you guys want to leave and planning board members come on up.
Are you Mr. Beamer, right?
Yeah.
Two Toms. It's a 69.
Fierce now, right?
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And let's just go starting with from my left. Please introduce yourself. Please give your name.
Noreen Shaw, planning board member.
Barry Muller. Tom Tighe, planning board chairman. Keith Candela.
Okay. And we have a stenographer here, so let's give her a second to get all the names oriented. And if the applicant can step up, we can get going.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of the board, council. Andrew Mays, M-A-Z-E, attorney for the applicant, Lestock Properties LLC. Here tonight is the principal, George Lestock. My main witness and is an engineer and planning an expert, Joseph Buch, and he is going to make the presentation to the board tonight.
Okay, thank you. Just make sure you use the microphone so we're picked up because we're being zoomed or whatever you want to call it.
Please raise your right hand. When ready. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight? All right, you are sworn.
Thanks. So as stated, excuse me. My name is Joseph Buch, that's V as in Victor, U-I-C-H. I'm a licensed engineer, professional engineer and professional planner, as well as a certified municipal engineer in the state of New Jersey. All my licenses are in good standing. For the benefit of the board, my credentials, background in civil engineering from Lehigh University in 2006. We're working in private and then municipal engineering since that time, so over 20 years. I've been primarily representing municipalities and do so on days with you and others in other municipalities throughout the state. That includes mostly, primarily currently Morris Township, engineering, planning and zoning, Long Hill Township, Chester Borough, Opakong, as well as a number of others throughout other municipalities.
Okay, any board members have questions of the engineer?
Move we accept his credentials. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, you're approved.
Thank you. So for tonight's presentation, I brought with me the submitted plans that were entered in, and this works as well. All right, great. Submitted plans, the minor subdivision plan set prepared by my office under my direction and my seal, Van Cleef Engineering. That is revision 9/30/2025, submitted as a revision, well in advance of the 10 days prior to this hearing and the prior hearing that we had postponed. Also included in our submission was a reference survey as well, prepared by my office. And that plan being dated June 20th, 2025, signed by Pamela Matthews from our Hillsborough office. And I will start with utilizing that for our reference, beginning of the presentation. We are here tonight seeking a minor subdivision approval along with a bifurcated use D1 use variance application. There are also bulk variances related to the entirety of the application for the individual lots once they're proposed to be created, along with the use variance being requested for each of the lots. And so principally, the intent of this application, minor subdivision, change in use, what you all are probably familiar with as the location of Buddy's Tavern, which has been dormant use on the property and shut down for at least 7 to 8 years, underutilization of the property with a existing single-family dwelling that is also located on the property. And one thing that we found very suitable to our presentation and the overall proposal of the subdivision is that when we look at the lot history here, this is currently block 371, lot 3 as one lot. However, there was an original tract 1 and tract 2 that had separated the residential use on the property and the commercial use on the property. And so in the consolidation at some point, it is one lot. What we're looking to do is first in that subdivision, reestablish that original tract line and recreate the single family property by itself. And then we're proposing with our use variance as well, the conversion of the remainder of that lot into 2 additional residential parcels. We find that to be a particularly suitable opportunity for the property in that it is located in an area of your municipality that is, as many are familiar with, adjacent to a school in the rear yard, as well as in an area of a B1 zone that is neighboring to both an R10 zone across the street, across Johnson Lane, as well as you come down the street to Washington Road and the county route, you're into the R5 zone. So we are in an area that is a relatively isolated section of a business zone against a school educational use, particularly in the corner of the property being an area of recreation and activity on the property with the playgrounds at the school, and rather complementary to converting what was an underutilized dormant commercial use and tavern opportunity for a restaurant liquor license into something a little more suitable for a buffer to the school zone, and providing some alignment with the R5 and R10 zones. So one of the things we did with our plan set is, and so let me get to sheet 2 here. We looked at our zoning in the municipality. One for, the zone that we're in, we need to identify our variances relative to the B zone. But then we also looked at the requirements in the R5 and the R10 zone because we're proposing a residential use. It's most appropriate to then compare yourself to those residential standards to identify the appropriateness of the size of the lot and create some consistency with your master plan, your zoning opportunities, so that the property is holistic to the vision of the municipality and the adjoining residential zones. So, with that, we identify existing nonconformities in the B1 zone, as well as what would be existing nonconformities to the R5 and R10 zone, and those mainly being relating to the existing structures that were on the property in the existing lot. And then as we look to establishing what I'm going to identify as from plan left to plan right, lot 3.01 proposed, 302 in the middle, and 303 to the plan right, which is the eastern side of the plan. Again, reestablishing the existing frame dwelling with essentially a plan at this time for establishing this lot, demolishing the existing structure, and leaving it pad ready for the opportunity to do plot plans under site plan exemption for conforming applications under the zoning with the variances that we're requesting at this time. We're proposing what would be essentially a C1 hardship proof on the existing side yard setback on this side of the dwelling, which is at 2.97, existing configuration of the lot, existing configuration of existing improvements. Proposing reestablishing that lot line that existed in the first tract historically with 4.41 as the setback, so that would be a C2 variance request, as well as then establishing 10-foot side yard setbacks on both of the lots. That would in itself be conforming in the B1 zone. Notably, that would be in an R5 zone, that would be an 8-foot setback. So that would be comparable to a 2-foot side yard, or in excess of the 8 feet to 10 feet, and then also compliant in an R10 in the other adjacent zone at 10 feet as well. Combined with front yard setbacks of 20 feet on the respective lots, that again is conforming to the zone, with the exception of the R10 zone, which would, so the B1 that we are in and the R5 provide conformity at 20 feet setback. And in the R10 zone, where we have a 10,000 square foot lot area as opposed to a 5,000 square foot lot area, we have a slightly larger proposed setback. That is a setback that we essentially can provide from the street. However, we are providing a dedication in the right-of-way for consistency of the right-of-way to expand the variable width of the right-of-way to conform with the adjacent lots on all sides, consistent with some of the recent approvals of the planning and zoning boards in recent years on adjacent lots in the area. Cleaning up the right-of-way, perfecting it, and with that, we have an effective depth that is greater than the proposed 20-foot setbacks in the front yard. So in comparison to an R10 where there's a 25-foot setback, you would essentially be able to have the same visual impact and plan development of these homes at a consistent setback, which, as you can see, consistent with the frame dwelling next door to the west, and then consistent with the existing dwelling on the home to apply a consistent setback, a compliant setback. So the existing nonconformities we have on the subject properties, see bulk variances related to east, west, and both side yard setbacks are 7.82 and 2.97, 7.38 respectively, where, as I was just saying, 10, 10, and 20 is required in the B1 zone. And building coverage was at 30.2%, where 25 was allowed. So looking to reduce that footprint and those nonconformities, and then reestablish with new lots and new sizes based on the variance requests. We're making requests on bulk variances on the east, west, and both side yards for lot 301. As I said, plan left. At existing 4.41, 2.97. That would be the 4.41 on the east, 2.97 on the west, and then a combined of 7.38 where 10, 10, and 20 are required. That is a hardship variance on the west side, a C2 variance on the right side. The Looking at lot area as well, where 10,000 square feet is required in the zone. And all three lots would be undersized. Those lots being undersized to the B1 zone at 10,000 would be respectively, again, left to right on the plan, 6,472 square feet, 6,171 square feet, and 5,870. So roughly all the same size, and the variation in the square footage is that we're establishing consistent 50-foot widths, and with the variable right-of-way that we're offering in dedication, that changes our depths of the lots respectively. So they're all in that ballpark of essentially a 6,000 square foot lot. Comparing to the R5 district, you have a 5,000 square foot requirement. So we're exceeding that R5 requirement. We're looking to then the R10, which matches the B1 at the 10,000. And so as we compare the proposal of establishing the three lots compared to your zoning in both R10 and R5, we find consistencies with lot sizing, setbacks, other bulk standards, particularly suitable to the R5 in the neighboring area, and some undersized in comparison to the R10. But what I draw your attention to on the site location map on our cover sheet is in the R10 zone, we have relatively narrow lots with depth to them. So the overall lot size of that 10,000 is made up mostly in depth of lot rather than in width and side yard and neighboring side yards to neighbors. So proximity of homes, setback from structure to structure is more comparable when we look at the homes in the area from doing our drive-bys and our planning analysis. So, and then we also, obviously, we're the most important part of the night, right? We're here to discuss the D1 use variance, 3 residential uses proposed on each individual lot. So it's essentially three lots with the D1 use applied in an area where we have a B1 neighborhood business zone. And as I was noting, this particular section of the B1 zone between Johnson and Washington is somewhat segregated from the other parts of that zone that go down the county route. It's in a different corridor, particularly more suitable for this conversion. I've found in driving through the neighborhood and looking at the comparable R5 and R10 zone, specifically because of the school and the proximity to the school, the neighboring and the buffering of a residential opportunity to take an underutilized business in the area, convert that into 2 homes that would be comparable to the existing structure that's been there for decades and the existing single-family dwelling that's been there for decades. So I'll perhaps pause in case there's any questions at the plan, the proposal, and then I can go into some planning proofs, kind of switch my hats real quick for everybody.
So the lot with the side yard variances, the ones that are needed.
Yeah.
Next, just want to get this on the record. To the left,
Yes.
that is not residential, correct?
It is not, no. It's a frame story dwelling. There is a larger setback on that property to the property line. So that buffer, we have the benefit of that buffer to the residential property that exists currently as an existing non-conforming use on that property, a second principal use essentially on the existing property. And as I was saying, we have a C1 hardship on the existing conformity, existing location of the home relative to the existing lot line, which is our outer boundary as opposed to our inner, where we're electing to create this conformity of the 50-foot widths to the lots.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the lot you referenced and the dwelling you referenced has received approval to be demolished. There's an existing physical therapy center on the corner. They purchased the adjacent property. They got approval to demolish that and construct a parking lot. And there were buffers anticipated along the property line next to your lot 3.01.
Thank you. You had pointed that out during our technical review meetings. Yes, so
That's what I'm getting at is that short side yard isn't going to affect any residents.
no, absolutely. In fact, it's a bit of the opposite, is that in planning and approval of the approvals over here to the west, the considerations of existing non-conforming residential on this property were observed to create that buffer on the adjacent property with the particularly the parking lot that would be in that portion of the lot.
There were some large diameter trees that were present along that property line, and they're being supplemented with some evergreen plantings adjacent to the proposed parking lot.
Any other members have questions when he has his engineering hat on?
I can go back and forth all night. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. So, half of you are normally a zoning board. Some of you are normally on other boards, right? So, just to cover the bases, right? So, zoning boards have the power to grant D1 variances on non-permitted uses, specifically under, we call them the D1, right? Because of the MLUL and the citation and reference to the D1, 70 D1. In particular cases, and for special reasons, so-called positive criteria proofs. This has been held through the courts that the promotion of general welfare and the zoning purposes that are most clearly amplified as meaning the special reasons under the Medici case. For non-inherently beneficial uses, the benefit of the general welfare comes from the development of the site in the community that is particularly suited for the proposed use, and provided that providing proofs that the proposed application promotes at least one purpose of the zoning found in the MLUL section 40:55D2, right? So that's when we rattle off the A through, right, sections. And then we also must satisfy a negative criteria, right? Discussing two parts of that proof, that being the proposed use can be granted without substantial detriment to the public, and that the proposed use will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the master plan and the zoning ordinance. All right, so that's our D1 use standards. And so first, let's discuss some of the particular suitability and the positive criteria, right? As I was mentioning earlier, through canvassing the area, looking at the proximity to R10 and R5, existing residential communities in the area, the neighborhood being inherently tied to the school being in that area as well, and providing a more appropriate buffer to the school and some of the recreational areas and the playground areas on that site being immediately adjacent to this subject lot, has a certain particular suitability for an opportunity for use variance in a business district, where we're coming into a section in a curve where we have the Board of Education property immediately adjacent to us. So we're surrounded on two sides with the development that's now planned for the other corner. That anchor to your corner, not to speak for, your professionals in your plan, but is complementary to the Washington Road County Route corridor and that business district, and that opportunity provides an opportunity for breaking away and bifurcating from the zone and providing continuity with the educational use and the residential neighborhoods in the area. So I find that to be particularly suitable, as well as starting to address some of the positive benefits in our criteria. And, we look to then the purposes of the municipal land use law. And I personally choose not to overdo it when it comes to, A through Q. A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of the lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Again, it's talking about the existing neighborhood you have, an opportunity for infill development and underutilization of the existing property and an opportunity for the consistency of adding some homes in that area, I think is particularly suitable to meeting that purpose, A, as well as E, to promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhoods, communities, and regions, and preservation of the environment, right? The persons, the neighborhoods, the communities. That's what we see this as an infill opportunity, taking underutilization, providing buffer to the school, providing consistency to cross over Johnson Lane from the residentials on the other side, and providing that tie-in to the public facilities, the public education opportunity of the property next door. As well as then M, to encourage coordination of the various public and private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and to the more efficient use of land. Right? You guys are all very familiar with municipality. To the extent that it's built out, to the extent of density that you have, infill development is the most practical reutilization and revitalization of areas. When you have underutilization, you have a property that has some dormancy on it, the opportunity to rejuvenate that and to do that consistent with an opportunity that reduces costs, is not cost generative, and provides for holistic opportunity to complete the neighborhood is the way we look at this. And then when we look at negative criteria, right? Negative criteria realistically here, I think, is losing a business opportunity, losing an opportunity for commercial uses in the area. I don't believe there are any, in particular because of the location of this site, the fact that you have a corridor on the county route that is supporting your business area, your business zone, the B1 zone, and it's a strong enough zone as it stands in that corridor. And then this leg of the zone being more complementary for this opportunity to flex with the school as well as the residentials across the street. So I don't find any negative criteria with the granting of this variance for the respective D1 use variances. As we then discuss the bulk standards that we're requesting on some of these, we have, as I said, a C1 hardship on the existing dwelling and the proximity to this 2.97 on the side yard, where 10 feet is required in the B1 zone, and comparatively in our R5 or R10 is respectively 8 feet or 10 feet. On the opposite side, we have a proposed 4.41 feet there. That's to allow us under C2 hardship proof to reestablish that original tract line. And doing so allows us to provide conformity on the other two lots. So there's a bit of a balance here to the best planning alternative and the opportunity we have available to us to rather than shift everything over and create and comply on that side and then create non-compliance on the other, or having multiple non-compliances across 3 lots for C2 bulk variances. We're looking at that area as an opportunity to reestablish an existing prior historic track line, and then from there observe the full side yard setbacks on the respective neighboring lots. So that existing dwelling will gain some setback from their neighbor that's compliant on their neighbor's side. And they're the one imposing on the new structure, so to speak. Comparatively to the existing arrangement, we see that it's really a welcomed opportunity to take what is about a 10-foot setback from the existing commercial structure and welcome in a residential neighbor as a comparable land use to that existing structure and that existing tenancy. And so, under the C2 hardship proofs, we look at the proposal being the better zoning alternative to which is permitted by the ordinance. And I feel that laying this out in this manner, and like I was saying, providing the 2 compliant side yard setbacks on the other 2 proposed lots, in light of the variance being requested on the eastern side of the existing dwelling, provides that better planning alternative to kind of condense those requests into the existing nonconformity and preserving that with the proposed lot to remain as lot 3.01, and then proposing the most compliant opportunity for bulk standards on the other two lots. And then I'll open up to questions.
Okay, board members have questions about our professionals? Do you agree? Jay?
Mr. Chairman, we had a report
Yeah.
that was submitted. First item had to do with construction of curbing and sidewalk along the frontage as well as street trees. The adjacent property that I mentioned was going to be expanded as a parking lot. They were required to construct sidewalk along their frontage. So we're recommending that be continued along the frontage of these three properties.
Yes, so we're aware of that. We are supportive of that. We would request essentially, we could acknowledge that during this approval, and then we would address it during design of the individual plot plans.
That kind of leads into the next comment. What the board is being asked tonight is to create these lots. They're not proposing any construction on the two new lots.
Correct.
So what that means is when they want to go through and file for building permits, they're going to have to comply with the requirements of the R5 zone. They'll have to submit a grading plan, a soil erosion plan, a tree preservation plan. They'll have to comply with RSIS requirements for off-street parking. So that'll be handled not before this board, but as a function of going for building permits. For some reason, if they aren't going to meet a side yard setback requirements, they'll have to come back to the board to get a variance for it. But at this point, they're not proposing any variances on the two lots that are vacant. The only two variances are on the existing lot because of the side yard setbacks.
Correct. And it reminds me, just to clarify for the record for the board and with the approval, as I was mentioning, we were observing at this time, the 10-foot setbacks on the existing B1 zone is what we showed on our plan. It would be our request that the R5 bulk standards be applied to the property as part of the approval so that the two lots being created could have the benefit of that flexibility when working through the architecturals, that if there's an element of the building that undulates on the side, that 10 to 8, what is an 8-foot compliant setback in the R5 zone, I find to be particularly suitable for the establishment of the bulk requirements on these two lots.
And the last item had to do with how you're going to file your subdivision, whether it's going to be done by map or whether it's done by deed. We would
Yes.
need descriptions and you just have to get lot numbers, confirm
Yes.
that they're approved by the tax assessor.
Yes, so same comments that we shared this with Jay during the TRC. Same comments that I always hold everybody to as well. We will be filing by deed as a minor subdivision. We think it would be most convenient. We'll be preparing meets and bounds descriptions, providing those to your professionals along with the deed in draft for the board attorney and municipal attorney if necessary to review, and then filing them appropriate and providing a copy of the recorded deeds to the municipality. That will be done in concert with speaking with the tax assessor, making sure that we identify the lots on those deeds in the conformities, in the preference that they have. I've shown them on the plan as 301 through 303, but we can change those. They could remain lot 3 and then the others, whatever the preference is of the tax assessor.
And for the planning board members, this is consistent with how the planning board has approved subdivision applications where you've granted approval subject to filing grading plans and soil erosion plans and tree plans when they go for their building permits.
Yes, and while we will be filing by deed, it was the intent of our plan set to conform to the map filing law as well. So the record set that is with the approval would then also then conform, which makes it much easier for us to work with your professionals and review the meets and bounds for final closures.
Chair, could he address the issues identified by Mr. Fowler in his report in miscellaneous
Yes.
section?
Let me get to it. Go ahead, John.
I apologize. I might have dropped it out of my notebook here. An extra
Got a
copy on?
copy, yeah.
Sorry.
just in the miscellaneous section you had said, right?
Yeah, the comments section in the back, but if you agree that you go into comply with my comments, I have just a few points to bring up. If I could, but to-
Yes, absolutely.
Michael, do you need a copy? No, I.
Yeah, so like, so as we're noting, so number one miscellaneous here, yes, I mean, I agree and just stated that we would request the R5 zoning standards to the area.
Go touch on that for a second, if you could.
Yes,
If you're gonna agree to construct according to the R5 standards, you'll meet all of the standards in the R5 zone, except for the fact, in lot 3.01, you have side yard issues, and you have a combined side yard issues. The only variance you would really require to have if you were an R5 zone would be the side yards for the existing dwelling.
correct.
And while the R5 zone does allow an 8-foot side yard setback, the combined side yard is still 20. So if you did 8 on one side, you have to do 12 on the other.
Correct.
So this is a suggestion, since the side yard is so close on lot 3.01, you'll need to like 4 feet. If you do 12 feet on that side of the lot next to it.
And shift,
8 feet on the other side, so you have your total 20, but then you have 12 feet plus 4, you have 16 feet from the new dwelling.
Mhm.
Existing structure.
yeah, and so that, yes, I think we're comfortable with that, looking at providing on the westerly side of both 302 and 303,
Well, it just would be.
or just for the middle lot?
Yes, where the side yard on lot 3.01 is 4 point something. feet, I
Yes.
believe. This way you'd have.
It would help us make up the difference between the two.
Correct.
Yes, we could stipulate to
Is
that.
the board okay with that suggestion also?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we should see.
And the other statements in there about meeting certain sections of the zone requirements.
Yes,
as far as
absolutely.
design is concerned, when you do your plot plan, Jay will be looking, a lot of those things, so I think.
Yes.
Those are covered.
Yes, I'm comfortable with all of these.
Like any comments on the proofs, the positive and negatives?
I think it's fine. It's a better planning alternative than I think trying to go with another commercial project there. And the bulk variances, better planning alternative to go with an R5 zoning. So I think it makes sense also for the C1 and the C2. But I have no problem with the schools to the rear, residential on most areas around the property. The other question I had was actually directly across the street is the gravel parking lot, I guess, that the bar and restaurant used to utilize. Just one of my questions, what was going to be the disposition of that lot, since I guess it was parking associated with the restaurant. Now the restaurant is gone, so what happens with that lot?
Yeah, so that lot was not provided as part of the contract. So it is still a separate matter. It would essentially be what I would term it, a vacant dormant use. And to keep my planning hat on, it's a accessory use without a principal use on the property. So in itself, to be used as a parking lot, arguably would need to get a approval from the boards to be able to be used as a parking lot for the neighborhood or some other principal use on another lot in the area.
That's basically what I want on the record. That
Yes.
It's still not going to be a parking lot.
It is not going to be a parking lot. It's not part of the transaction between my client and the current owner. So it is still in their ownership and would be addressed under separate applications.
Thank you. That's all.
Any other questions from members or professionals? So this is a little bit new to me. So we're sort of changing the zone.
You're not really changing the zone.
Well, can you explain that? I don't think we've done that in the past.
So, first off, initially, if this board grants the application, it will have to grant the C variances under the existing business zoning. However, it can also choose to apply a certain type of zoning as part of its approval to the property. And so what's been said is that the most applicable type of zoning seems to be the nearby R5 zoning. So that in the future, if they have to come back, it will be under the standards of the R5 zone for their side yard setbacks, their bulk setbacks and variances. rather than under the B1 zone. So the board has 3 use variances. It has what, 1, 2, 3 bulk variances, is that correct? Mike?
This, 3 lot area,
Right,
3 lot width, and then there's
Three more.
side yards.
Yeah.
And, on 3.01.
And those bulks are because we're applying the
So it becomes-
R5?
no, those bulks are from the B1.
B1, okay.
Because you can't technically rezone
Okay.
the lot. However, you can give an approval saying that in the future, as a condition of your approval, that the property will comply with the R5 standards.
Mr. Chairman, as an example, B1 zone allows 25% coverage for a building and 85% for impervious, which means you could have basically a house, a bigger house that's all paved, as opposed to the R5, which has the 20% coverage and 45% impervious. So that's why you want to have the residential standard, since it's going to be constructed for residential.
All right, one more time. Any questions from board members or professionals? All right, I'd like to open this up to the public. Any comments from the public? I don't see anybody coming forward, so I'll close the public portion. You want to wrap up, or are you finished? It's the only thing you didn't do.
Appropriate use of underdeveloped, underutilized property. I believe the engineering and planning, information that was presented is spot on. I would ask the board to grant our applicant's request. And just for the record, he's not only the applicant, he's now the owner of the property as well, in case that was clarified. And I believe this will just be a benefit to the entire area. With no negative.
Okay, thank you. So we'll vote on this. I don't think we made any changes except for, Mike, your comments about adjusting the,
Yes, the side yards, so there's a 12-foot side yard setback next to lot 3.01, 8 foot on the opposite side.
is that something we want to include in the,
As a condition.
as a condition? Okay, so we're going to include that as a condition of approval? Yeah, okay.
Westerly in the middle lot will be a larger of the two. To accommodate
Right.
compliance on the.
And compliance with the engineering and planning letters as well, our conditions.
Okay. Any other conditions? I don't think there were any.
Condition would be that it's also in the future, as part of this approval, would adhere to the R5 zone standards, with the exception of the variances that it would create right now if it were part of the R5.
Okay, with all those, I'd like to have a motion on this application.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes?
Mr. Emma.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Toy. Mr. Mueller.
Yes.
Mr. Candle.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Hey, thank you. You're approved. And the resolution, or are we,
Yeah, I mean, at the next meeting,
okay, you're going to do it next
yeah,
meeting.
you
Okay.
don't need a full board or form of the board to approve the resolution. All you need is a majority of the eligible members. who heard it.
If the 3 of us are here, that's okay.
If only 2 are here, that's fine. Then there's 2 voting for it. And if only 1, well, 1 is a majority of 1.
Okay.
So
Well, in 2 weeks, we'll have the resolution approved.
please provide me with the transcript in advance of that to assist with the resolution drafting. Need-
Take care, yeah.
Sooner the better.
Hey, Tom, Tom, you gotta close the meeting.
Oh, wait a minute, guys, wait. Wait, one more item. Okay, can
I'll be in touch.
having no other business, come before the board, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you, planning board members for showing up.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, sure.